And political analyst Kunle Falowo joins me now for more insight on this development. Good to have you join us. And he joins me from the US. Good to have you join us.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm sure you followed President Putin's statement yesterday. I think it was the Day meeting he had yesterday, where he addressed a group of people. And he made several comments. But one of the comments he made was that the world faces probably the most dangerous decade since World War II. What do you think he meant by that?
Yes, definitely. It's been an ongoing war between his country, Russia, and Ukraine, and it's been lasting for over 8 months. Closing to few more months from now will be a year. Of course, it's a great and very saddening situation. Greatly saddening, I must say, that Russia has decided to go on with this battle. And let's be reminded also that Mr. Putin came into this war and he had felt alongside with his commanders. He felt like he would, get into Ukraine and win over. And just take over the country just very easily. But unfortunately, we are seeing now that all of the calculations was very, went bad for him. He didn't expect, he didn't anticipate that he was going to get this form of resistance from the Ukrainian side, and this is surprising because for him to have said that it's a huge war and it hadn't happened right after Second World War. He is the mastermind of this, madness going on in Ukraine and Russia. Because if you look at the numbers and the tallies and the numbers of casualties and the humanitarian crisis that this war is produced, is quite alarming. And until both sides see reason and resolve this, crisis politically and diplomatically, unfortunately, we will continue to see chaos and tumultuous situation going on both sides.
And do you think that statement is coming from a place where, based on the actions he's yet to take, or from a place where he feels isolated and desperate for any kind of victory?
Well, desperation from the Russian side is just an understatement. Like I said, they came into the war, they overestimated their power and their capabilities, and then underestimated the Ukrainian side. And what we have here, we're looking at a battle that has lasted for 8 months and going into the winter. And this is not the calculations that they had on their side, because they've done this before 2014, and they were successful with it. Having said that, some of the officials of the Russian side had accused the Ukrainian side of trying to use a dirty bomb. Yes, it's some of those tactics, and international communities are crying foul, saying that this is not happening. The Ukrainian side and not trying to use a banned or bomb attacks, nuclear bombs for that matter. And interestingly, the International Atomic Agency are going into Ukraine sometime this week or next week to investigate, just to make sure that the accusation from the Russian side, to make sure that it is unfounded, and to see if it is truly true that the Ukrainian side are trying to use a dirty bomb. And if you ask some Western allies, they will tell you this is a pretext to Russia trying to use dirty bombs to actually make success be their part, because they're losing on both sides, and this is not really what they plan or what they had in stock for the Ukrainian side.
But do you think that, because again, we've seen several attacks on Bakhmut, we've seen several attacks on power installations in Ukraine, and some part of that country is now facing blackout. Do you think that just 247th day into the war, that perhaps Russia still has any kind of military strategy, or now is just anything goes, just to get some level of military victory anyhow?
Well, aside from the battle going on in different parts of Ukrainian soil, there's also the psychological battle going on also, and cut across ties. Uh, in as much as we have sympathizers, majority of the Western allies supporting the Ukrainian side, because everybody sees that the war is very unjustifiable, and it's just like a big country trying to tackle a smaller country and just to bully them into submission. But if you also look at the Russian side, you would see that Vladimir Putin is a very strong leader who has calculated that he has some allies. Although there haven't been a lot of countries that come out to openly support Mr. Putin, but however, there are indications that the Iranians and North Korea are supporting him militarily with drones and devices and mercenaries that are helping him in the battlefield. So and also not forgetting China has also been also named as one of those countries that are supporting or financing the war, and they're on the side of the Russian military people. But be that as it may, this is not the end until again a diplomatic solution is preferred. We will continue to see hundreds and relentless, needless deaths on the Russian side and the Ukrainian side, which is very.
I want to stay there because, sorry to interrupt you, you mentioned the needless death. And in that speech or statement he made yesterday, for the first time, President Putin admitted to having suffered losses when he vaguely said, I'm always thinking about the human lives lost. How much of a tough spot do you think he is in back at home?
The momentum is losing the momentum. Is people are also losing the momentum on the battlefield. Let's not forget that he had sought to get as much people as he wanted to join in the battle, and they're falsely, having people to join them. And people are not, going for that. People are running away from Russia. There are visa-free countries that Russians can go to. Turkey, for instance, you could get access to it, and then other, part of West Europe that a lot of your Russians are actually running away because they do not want to be conscripted to kill people in Ukraine. And when he sees that he is losing the battle psychologically, he needs to come out and be honest, because the Western allies, international community, international networks are covering these issues, and he is obviously seeing that people are witnessing that he is losing the battle. Currently, there's a report that says that Russia is officially under defense. Let's not forget that going into the war, they were on the offense. They were killing a lot of people and destroying properties and infrastructure. But now they're on the defense against being on the offense in the first place. So he is kind of losing the battle psychologically. He needs to come out and be open to again win the trust of the civilian populace in Russia, because they already know what's going on. So if he continues to lie to himself and lie to the citizenry, it wouldn't be good for him. So hence he needs to be honest.
We doubt he's ever going to admit defeat. We'll continue to follow developments in Russia and Ukraine. Thank you so much for talking to us. As always, political analyst Kunle Falowo.